When I started studying women, how they think, feel, and fall in love, I discovered something truly life-changing. If you want to make any girl fall for you, you don't need to have money, looks, or status. You only need one skill, the ability to speak to her emotions, not her mind. And the fastest way to do that is by using a technique I call listening like a therapist. Let me explain. Every time a man talks to a woman, her mind silently puts him into one of three categories: potential boyfriend, just a friend, or someone she never wants to meet again. For years, I always fell into that third category, the one where she just didn't want to see me again. I was socially awkward. I didn't know what to say. And if you're listening to me right now, you might relate, because I was once even more socially awkward than you. Since childhood, I was extremely introverted. I didn't know how to connect with people, how to read emotions, or how to start meaningful conversations. After some time, I began learning social skills: how to talk, how to express, how to be confident. And eventually, people started to accept me socially. At that point, I thought I was ready to talk to women. But soon, I realized something strange. I was no longer in the ignored category, but I had entered the friend zone. Every girl liked talking to me, but no one was actually attracted to me, and that's when the shock hit me. Why? What mistake was I making? What was I missing? So I decided to dig deeper into how women think. I read every book, every article, every study I could find about female psychology. And after years of reading and experimenting, I finally understood the truth. The difference between a boyfriend and a friend is one thing: emotion. If you want a girl to see you as more than a friend, you must learn to stir her emotions. You must speak to her emotions, not just her mind. And when I began applying this principle, everything changed. I started moving from the friend category to the boyfriend category. I finally understood the secret. Now, what does it really mean to stir her emotions? Let me walk you through this step by step. There are two ways to awaken a woman's emotions: by putting feelings into her, by bringing out the feelings that already exist within her. In the beginning, when you first meet a girl, you can't just put emotions into her, because her emotional door is still locked. You don't have access to that part of her yet, so what can you do? You can bring out her existing emotions, and the moment you make her express her feelings, you open that emotional door. You awaken her emotional side, and that's where attraction begins. But how do you make her express feelings? That's where my technique comes in. Listen like a therapist. To apply this technique, you need to ask emotional questions and then listen deeply, just like a therapist would. Now, let's understand what I mean by emotional questions. Don't worry, I'll give you examples later. But first, you need to truly understand the concept, because I don't want you to just memorize questions and repeat them like a robot. I want you to know how to create emotional questions yourself, depending on the situation you're in. You see, humans connect emotionally, not logically. We bond through feelings, not through facts. So to build emotional connection, you must talk about emotions. To make the other person talk emotionally, you need to ask questions that evoke feelings. Let's take an example. Imagine you're talking to a girl about her studies or her job. She tells you, "I study computer science." And you respond, "Oh, that's cool." What do you do exactly? Now, what's happening here? You're having a logical conversation, a cold, fact-based exchange. But now imagine you ask her, "Do you like this field?" She says yes or maybe no. Then you ask why. That simple question and why out changes everything. Because now she has to feel something before she answers. She'll begin expressing her emotions about her passion, her frustrations, or her dreams. And once she starts expressing feelings, you've opened the emotional door. That's the first rule of an emotional question. It must make her express a feeling, whether that feeling is happiness, excitement, sadness, anger, or nostalgia. Let's look at another example. Guy: "Where do you live?" Girl: "New York." Guy: "Wow, New York. That's a beautiful city." End of story. Cold, logical, forgettable. Now let's try again, but this time using emotional communication. Guy: "Where do you live?" Girl: "New York." Guy: "New York? How can you live in a city like that? It seems so noisy and restless to me. Do you actually like it there?" Boom. You've just asked an emotional question. She might respond, "Yes, of course. Why not?" Now don't stop there. Ask again, why do you like it? At this moment, she starts expressing her feelings, her connection to the city, her memories, her sense of belonging. She begins to talk more and feel more. That's how emotions start flowing. But listen, there's a second rule. Her answers should be long and expressive. If she gives short, dry answers like yes, no, or maybe, it means she hasn't opened up emotionally yet. So when she says, yes, I like New York, don't stop there. Ask why, or what do you love most about it? When you do that, she'll begin to share stories, memories, and personal details, and that's when emotional connection begins to build. And during this time, you must listen with full focus. Don't interrupt her. Don't rush to respond. Just listen. The way a therapist listens to a patient. When she starts opening up, you're no longer talking to her mind. You're speaking directly to her heart. To that deep emotional part responsible for attraction, connection, and love. But is that all? No, my friend. That's just the first step. The emotional question is only a key that unlocks the door. Once she starts expressing feelings, you have to turn that emotional spark into a full emotional conversation. For example, let's say during the conversation she says, I really love visiting the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Now you can respond, oh, you like art? Why? And again, she'll begin to share her emotions, her stories, her thoughts. You'll keep moving from one emotional topic to another, always making her express her inner world. It doesn't matter what the topic is, and what matters is that she's feeling something during the conversation, and here's the truth. She'll never forget that conversation. Because emotions create memories that logic never can. Now, before we go any further, I want to warn you about one of the biggest mistakes that most men make. It's something I call the interview mode. You've probably seen guys do this, and maybe you've even done it yourself. They keep asking question after question, one after another, like they're reading from a list. Where do you live? What do you do? What's your favorite food? What's your hobby? And the girl just keeps answering. New York. I'm a teacher. I like sushi. Dry, robotic, empty. There's no emotion, no spark, no chemistry. It feels like an interview, not a connection. So please don't do this. Your questions should never sound like you're interrogating her. Each question should flow naturally into the next one. Every topic should be connected to the one before it. Like a gentle river of emotions. You're not trying to collect information, you're trying to build emotional rhythm. Now, many men ask me, so should I just stay silent and let her talk all the time? The answer is no, but you must understand the balance. In any emotional conversation, especially in the beginning, she should be talking about 70% of the time. And you should talk about 30%. Why? Because women connect through expression. They bond when they talk, when they feel, when they open up. And the more she opens up with you, the more emotionally attached she becomes. But here's the secret. When you listen with genuine attention, without judgment, without interruption, you create a safe emotional space. And when a woman feels emotionally safe, that's when attraction begins. Now, let's go deeper. There's a famous study by social psychologist Arthur Aron called 36 Questions to Fall in Love. In this experiment, he paired up complete strangers, a man and a woman who had never met before, and gave them a list of 36 questions. They had to ask each other these questions and answer honestly. By the end of the experiment, almost all of them felt deep emotional connection. Some of them even ended up getting married later. Why did this happen? Because those questions made them feel. They bypassed the logical brain and went straight to the heart. They made people express their fears, dreams, memories, and hopes, the most personal parts of who they are. And that, my friend, is the power of emotional conversation. Now, I'll share the first 10 emotional questions from that experiment. But remember, these aren't magic lines. They only work if you understand how to use them, with warmth, with curiosity, and with patience. Here they are. Would you like to be famous? And in what way? Before making a phone call, do you ever rehearse what you're going to say? And why? If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? What would a perfect day look like for you? When was the last time you sang to yourself? Or to someone else? If you could live to be 90 and keep either the mind or body of a 30-year-old for the rest of your life, which would you choose? If you could wake up tomorrow with one new quality or ability, what would it be? Do you have a secret hunch about how you will die? What is your most painful or unforgettable memory? What in your life are you most grateful for? Now, don't rush to memorize them. Don't turn them into a list to use on girls. The goal isn't to sound smart. The goal is to make her feel. The real secret is not in what you ask, but in how you continue the conversation afterward. Because remember, the question itself is only the key. The emotion that follows is the door. Let me tell you a story that changed the way I understood this forever. A while ago, I was dating a girl for about 3 weeks. She was beautiful, confident, and strong, but she wasn't the type who would sleep with someone easily. She believed in waiting, in commitment, in connection. Before coming over to my place, she told me, "Look, I'm coming just to spend some time. We can cuddle, maybe kiss, but nothing more. I'm not ready for anything sexual." I respected that. I said, "No problem." She came over. We sat down, had coffee, and started talking. After a while, I got an idea. I said, "Let's take the MBTI test together." For those who don't know, the MBTI is a personality test that helps you understand yourself, your strengths, emotions, and behavior. So I started reading the questions one by one. But instead of just answering them quickly, I asked her to explain each answer. Every time she answered, I asked why. I encouraged her to share stories, memories, and feelings. Slowly, without realizing it, she started opening up emotionally. She laughed, she blushed, she shared things she'd never told anyone before. And that emotional energy turned into attraction. Before we could even finish the test, something shifted between us. That night, we ended up sleeping together. Not because I manipulated her, but because she felt deeply connected. Now, let me make this very clear. For men, sexual attraction often starts visually. We see beauty and we feel desire. But for women, attraction starts emotionally. When she feels understood, heard, seen, when you awaken her emotions, she begins to desire you. That's the truth most men never realize. So here's your takeaway. If you want to connect deeply with a woman, don't try to impress her. Don't talk too much. Don't show off. Instead, make her feel. Ask questions that touch her emotions. Listen like a therapist. Make her feel understood. And above all, I'd make her feel safe to express herself around you. That's how emotional attraction begins. But I want to leave you with one final warning. If you only apply this technique halfway, and if you listen but show no masculine energy, you might fall into what I call the therapy zone. It's when she starts seeing you not as a man, but as a safe friend, the emotional sponge she talks to, but never desires. To avoid that, you need to combine emotional connection with masculine presence. That's something we'll talk about in the next episode of this series. Before you go, I want you to try this. Talk to one person this week, it could be anyone, using this technique. Ask emotional questions, listen deeply, and notice how the conversation feels different. You'll see how powerful this is, not just with women, but with anyone. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment telling me what topic you'd like me to cover next. And remember, real attraction doesn't start with looks or money. It starts with emotion. See you in the next episode. And as always, take care of your energy, your heart, and your peace.